afternoon, financial algebra. We are going to cover the last section of Unit 8 on dividend income. And so income, this is money that you receive or that your accounts receive. The definition of a dividend is it's a profit split. So if there is a profit in a stock, it is split amongst all the shareholders, you being one of them, and it's usually either paid once a year or every quarter. Okay? Income stock is a stock that pays dividends. Okay, not all stocks are income stocks, but most that you invest in are. When we refer to yield, that's the percent value of a dividend. And here is the formula we're going to use. It's your annual dividend per share divided by the current price of share. So we're going to jump in and do couple examples. So number one, Jared is purchasing a stock that pays an annual dividend of $3.42. If he purchases 400 shares at $53.18, what would his annual income be from dividends? So this $53.18, what he paid, has nothing to do with his dividends. His dividends come from this right here, annual, and the 400 shares he has. So $3.42 times the 400 shares, because this is per share. And if you multiply that out, he would make a total of $1,368 in dividends. Next one, or Part B, sorry. Part B asks, what is the yield? So the formula for our yield is the annual dividend. So annual dividend would be 1,368. Whoops, sorry. That's annual. Annual dividend per share. So sorry, not the total, what it was per share. So $3.42 divided by the current price. So he paid $53.18 per share. So I'm going to enter this in my calculator. 3.42 divided by 53.18, and I get 0.064, 3, whatever, and you can keep going. But they said to round to the nearest tenth of a percent, so you'd move your decimal 2 places, so 6.4%. And that is it. So number 2. Adriana owns 1,000 shares that pays an annual dividend of $2.17. How much can she expect to receive on a quarterly? Remember, there are 4 quarters in a year. It occurs every 3 months, so March, June, September, and December. Okay, so let's first figure out how much she gets annually. So 1,000 times 2.17 is 2,170, and then we can divide that by 4 to figure out how much she gets per quarter. And if you divide that by 4, she should get $542.50 per quarter. Number 3, so moving on. Now, the rest of this goes over all the things we've learned in the prior section. So if you'll notice, this one is talking about a split. So there was she bought her stock $44.64 per share. It was paying $2.08 annual dividend. It underwent a 2-for-1. Remember, that means your number of shares double, but the price is cut in half. So what was the new price of 1 share? So remember, it's $44.64. 2-for-1, here's your A, here's your B. So I would multiply that by B over A, or 1/2, and I get $22.32. If you owned 300 shares, how many shares do you own after the split? So the price, remember, a 2-for-1 split means the price is cut in half, but the number of shares doubles. So for part B, you would do the exact opposite and multiply by 2/1, which would give us 600 shares. What was the annual dividend per share after the split? So instead it'd be $2.08, also cut in half. So now it's $1.04. What was the yield before the split? Well, the yield before the split would be $2.08 divided by what she purchased it for. And that gives me 4.7%. Because I moved the decimal 2 places. It was 0.047, but I move it 2 places. Okay. What was the yield to the nearest percent after the split? Well, $1.04 divided by 22.32 gives us the same percent of 4.7%. So those are the answers for part A, B, C, D, and E. The yield should be the same. Next one. All right, so one share pays a dividend of $1.50. It closed at $26.50 with a net change. Remember, this means that it's down $3.50 from yesterday. Okay, so what was the stock's yield at yesterday's closing? Well, you'd have to take $26.50 minus the net change, which gives me $26.50 plus $3.50, which gives me $30. And then $30 divided, and then for our yield equals $1.50 divided by $30, which is 0.05, which is 5%. So we first had to figure out yesterday's price. Sorry, I have to fix my notes because I messed up. Hold on. All right, number 5. The stock in a real estate corporation was selling for $6 per share. Annual dividend was only 12 cents, and it went under a 2-for-5 reverse split, meaning that if you had 5 shares, you now only had 2. What was the value of the share after the split? Well, it would be 6. Remember, you flip the order when it comes to price. So 5 over 2, which would give me $15. So the price goes up. It goes from 6. So in this case, a reverse split, price goes up, number of shares goes down. Okay, so it's the exact opposite of a regular split. What was the annual dividend? Well, you would take 12 cents times 5 over 2, and so now it's 30 cents. What was the yield after the reverse split? It would be 30 cents divided by $15, and you get 0.02 or 2%. Sorry, another mistake on my notes. Hold on. All right, number 6. A corporation was paying $4.20 annual dividend. The stock underwent a 3-for-2 split. What is the new annual dividend? Remember, when it comes to price, you do the B over A. So 2 over 3, which would give me $2.80. Okay. I'm going to skip 7. Number 8. Pat owned 2,500 shares and received a quarterly dividend check for $9.25. So if that was his quarterly, what was the annual dividend for 1 share? What was for 1 share of Speed King? Okay, so $9.25 times 4, because this was per quarter, gives me $3,700. But then I had to divide that by the number of shares to get the dividend per share. And that gave me $1.48 per share. All right, now the following goes over like what happens and how do we know. And I don't know, I saw it on your homework. I don't know if it's in the computerized one. But a stock's dividend is not changing, but its yield has fallen over the past 5 consecutive days. What has happened? Well, that means that our stock price must be going up. If you get asked a stock's dividend was decreased, does that mean its yield is lower on Tuesday than it was on Monday? Yes, because you have a smaller fraction, which will give you a smaller percentage. And that pretty much covers what is on your homework. I don't think we need to go over I'll go over number 7 just in case it's on your homework. So number 7, let's go over part A. Tuesday's closing price. Well, I would take Wednesday's and subtract the net change. And so yesterday's price was $22. Tuesday's yield would be the dividend divided by Tuesday's closing price. And that gives me 0.044 or 4.4% because you have to move the decimal 2 places. C, Wednesday's yield would be the 96 cents, but divided by Wednesday's price. And that gives me 0.042, or that would be 4.2%. Okay. All right, part D. Here is Wednesdays, here is Tuesdays. So let's figure out if it's gone up or down. So 54.10 minus 54.88. And my price has gone down 78 cents, so negative 0.78. All right, E. Tuesday's yield would be the dividend divided by Tuesday's price, which gives us 3.036 or 3.6%. Because you have to move the decimal 2 places. F would be the $2 divided by Wednesday's price, which is 3.7%. Well, sorry, because it was 0.0, so I had to move it over. G, Tuesday's closing price would be W minus C. Tuesday's yield would be D divided by W minus C. And Wednesday's yield would be the dividend divided by Wednesday. So that covers all of the examples and hopefully everything on your homework.